everyone, and welcome back once again to Rocket Lab Saturday here with Stock Trek Girl. Now, I know it's been a while, and I know I've been away, but a lot has happened since my last video, so I cannot wait to go over it with you. If you are looking for one of those unicorn stocks that you think is just going to make it big one day, then look no further, my friends, because right here with Rocket Lab, we have something special. And not very many people know about this stock. Some of you that have been watching have been following me for a while, and I'm sure you know the ins and outs by now, and you probably agree Rocket Lab is something special. Majority of you probably have it in your stock portfolios, but for those of you that don't know, or for those of you that just simply need some motivation and inspiration and reminding, then this video is for you. How to get rich with Rocket Lab. So let's go. Now, there are many reasons why I think that Rocket Lab can make you rich. Okay, so we are going to go over some of the accomplishments of Rocket Lab. We are going to go over some of the future endeavors that Rocket Lab is working on. And we're also going to take a look at the current stock price and, see where it's heading as much as, the year 2030. What my projection is for this particular stock by the year 2030, and kind of get an idea of how much money can you really make owning this stock. So let's take a deep dive and see what we have going on here. Right, so the first thing I want to point out is the total addressable market. The total addressable market that Rocket Lab plans on tapping into is worth a whopping $350 billion, and it's projected to grow up to $1.4 trillion by the year 2030. Now, as you can see, Rocket Lab plans to tap into every aspect of that market, from launch to space systems to space applications. The majority of that money will come from space applications. So Rocket Lab, once they have those in place, you're going to see revenue skyrocket. I'm sure the majority of you have heard about SpaceX. SpaceX has been an amazing space company, launching incredible rockets, with the Crew Dragon and everything, going up to the space station. So SpaceX is phenomenal. Not only that, but SpaceX is focusing on sending people to Mars. So SpaceX, as most people know, is basically the #1 launcher here in the United States and pretty much for the world. I know that China and, Russia and some other places, India even, they do some launches, but SpaceX is the cream of the crop. Now, you cannot invest in SpaceX unless you are an accredited investor, or unless you own a little bit of Google stock, because Google has inherently invested in SpaceX. So you can inadvertently own SpaceX by owning shares of Google, but it's just not the same as owning it outright. Am I right? Yeah. Now, here's the thing. Rocket Lab is second in line to the throne, okay? I've always called Rocket Lab the Prince of Space, and the reason why is because they are directly behind SpaceX as far as launch cadence, as far as launch accomplishments and achievements, and not only that, but they're more than just launches. They're about space systems. If you look at their revenue comes in from so many different areas. It's not just dependent on one launch. They do not have all their eggs in one basket, folks, just like you should not have all your eggs in one basket. I'm a huge fan of Rocket Lab, right? I myself am personally invested in Rocket Lab, but what I'm telling you is be diversified, be diversified. So definitely be diversified when it comes to your investments. Do your own research. I have done a lot of research. I'm sharing it with you, but don't be afraid to go and sift through some things and check it out for yourself and to verify. So I'm here simply to educate you and to share my passion for space as well as Rocket Lab and finance. But it's your duty as an individual investor to also do some research. Rocket Lab's past earnings report, I think, was phenomenal. They accomplished some things that weren't exactly projected, but they did. So I'll have to go over a couple things that I saw in their earnings report that really stuck out to me that I was quite happy with. So anyways, in regards, going back to the whole SpaceX Rocket Lab thing, let's take a look at valuations, okay? Now, valuations, you're basically getting the Prince of Space for a better valuation than even what SpaceX itself would be trading at if it were on a public stock exchange. So let's go ahead and take a look at the valuations between, the big king of space, which is SpaceX, and let's compare it with the Prince of Space and see the difference. Accomplishments. What has Rocket Lab accomplished thus far that warrants it to be in your stock portfolio? Well, let's take a look at what they've achieved so far just this year. And this year isn't even over. We're just like halfway through, a little bit over halfway. So let's go take a look. Rocket Lab has launched so far, as of to date, 30 successful launches. Now, because of those 30 successful launches, that makes Electron having successfully reached orbit more than any other small launch provider available. So congratulations to Rocket Lab, you are breaking boundaries with this one. Not only has it launched the most rockets this year for the small launchers, but Rocket Lab has also done the fastest turnaround time between successful launches of any other small launch provider. Check this out. Rocket Lab has done it in 15 days, while the second quickest launch provider took 115 days, 100 more days than Rocket Lab. Wow, again, Rocket Lab is just skyrocketing in their achievements. Now let's check out Rocket Lab's year-over-year revenue, okay? So they have a 392% increase year-on-year revenue growth, and their revenue in Q2 of 2022 alone was $55.5 million. As you can see, lots of growth in the space systems, and thankfully in Q2 there was also a growth in the launch revenue. So Rocket Lab is just growing and they are flourishing, and I can't wait to see what the future has to bring. Speaking of the future, let's go look at projected future earnings. And here are the projected earnings for Rocket Lab. As you can see, definitely by 2024, Rocket Lab should be cash flow positive. I mean, look at those numbers. Now look at 2027, over $1 billion in revenue, folks. I mean, I know this is projected, so let's take it with a grain of salt. I say by 2030, but hey, if they can get it by 2027, the better. We are looking at $1 billion revenue generating company here. Check this out. Another thing that sets Rocket Lab apart is that they are the only small launch provider to have designed, built, launched, and operated its own satellites in orbit. And that right there alone is vertical integration at its finest. Now, because Rocket Lab has moved beyond launches and they're also involved in space systems, and with their acquisition of Sol Aero, they are able to create partnerships with Lockheed Martin, okay? I mean, that is awesome. Partnering with such a big company as Lockheed Martin, getting these contracts, this is going to generate further revenue for years to come for Rocket Lab. Now, this accomplishment is huge. Rocket Lab launched the first mission for NASA's Artemis program to return humans to the moon via their lunar capstone mission, which happened to be one of my favorite missions so far. I had so much fun watching it, and it's still in progress, and I'm still tracking it on the little NASA's tracker, and it's been a lot of fun. So definitely check out the lunar capstone mission videos that I have done. They are awesome. Upcoming catalyst. Rocket Lab has another launch for Synspective, which I'm super excited. It's going to be happening in September, so we will definitely have to keep an eye on that.
Now, the next mission of The Owl Spreads Its Wings is scheduled to lift off from Rocket Lab's Launch Pad B from Complex 1 in New Zealand. Now, the launch window is slated to open around mid-September, and the mission is the second of a bulk buy of 3 Electron launches by Synspective to deliver their Strix satellites to low Earth orbit.
Have you ever heard the term, if you go to the bathroom, it makes the food come? You know, I kind of think that's what happened with me and Rocket Lab, right? It's like I stepped away from YouTube for a while. I had to deal with some things, you know, personal stuff, and I just had so much going on. I had to step away, and I do apologize. I missed you all. I know a lot of you commented that you missed me, you hope I'm okay. Yes, I was going through some stuff. I had a lot going on, but I'm doing so much better now, and I'm back. And you know what? You know what happened? Because I left, the stock went up. Yes, it did. Just like when you leave to go to the bathroom at a restaurant and the food comes, I left YouTube and Rocket Lab stock, boom, it started going up. Can you believe it? So, hey, it happens. Unfortunately, though, I'm not going to be leaving that often. So the stock is going to have to keep going up even though I'm still on YouTube. So we'll leave it at that. But it's exciting to look at where it has gone since my last video and looking at it now, right? It went all the way up, you know, to like 7 something a share. We were in the 7s. Can you believe it? Lucky 7s. And yes, while we have kind of floated back down to the 5s, I'm happy about that because I'm not done loading up. Like my plan is to keep buying, you know, every, you know, paycheck, every whatever I can up until, you know, Neutron is unveiled, basically, because I want to have my base, and then I just want to stop and hold and just let it sit and ride it out, just ride it on up. You know, I did the same thing with Tesla stock. I bought Tesla before it went up. Okay, so I bought it, I chose my shares, I sat and I sat and I sat, and then what do you know? 2020 comes along and Tesla just went insane. So I timed Tesla very well. I'm very happy with what I did with Tesla. And I'm doing the same thing with Rocket Lab here. So I'm buying my target shares, what I want, and then I'm going to sit and I'm just going to ride it and coast it on up. So that's my plan. You know, other people, they trade differently. You know, you have day traders, you have swing traders. There's so many different trading styles out there. Mine isn't necessarily going to be your style, and it may not be right for you. Everybody has a different style, and that's okay. There are many different ways to get to the cheese. You don't have to go, you know, through only one section of the maze to get there. There are so many different ways. So that's just my personal strategy, but I'm really excited about Rocket Lab. They have so much going on, and I really do believe if you buy and you hold for the long term, it can make you wealthy. You know, depending on, of course, how many shares you have, how much you have invested, but considering, you know, it can definitely bring about some wealth generation. So I highly recommend just purchasing now before Neutron is developed. And, you know, Rocket Lab is expected to be cash flow positive again in about 2024. So eventually they'll probably be, you know, generating, you know, $1 billion by 2030. This will be a unicorn. You know, this will be a really good stock. Now, as far as my prediction for the stock price and the growth over the next, you know, 5 to 8 years, let's go ahead and take a look and do some digging to get an idea of just how much your money can possibly multiply by owning Rocket Lab.
Now, as far as where I see this stock going, I can see it going in 5 years to at least a healthy $60 a share. And by the year 2030, I can see Rocket Lab going to as much as $150 a share and more. Now, keep in mind, these estimates are conservative. The stock, for all I know, could go up to $500 a share. Who knows? But this is my best guess to deliver, you know, results that you can expect to look forward to.
There really isn't much competition out there other than SpaceX. And SpaceX, you know, is a private company. So this is it, folks. This is the Prince of Space. This is the chance to own space royalty. And I'm hanging on. But like I said, make sure you are diversified. Don't just put every single dollar you own into Rocket Lab. It's a great company, but you also have to go about things with a balance. You need to have balance in life, and you need to have balance in your portfolio. But definitely Rocket Lab, I think, deserves to have a slice in your pie. Well, be sure to follow me along on Twitter under the handle StockTrekGirl, where you will be able to chat with me and see some posts and even some memes that I might find funny. So I would love to hear from you, and that's a great way to reach me. If I am unable to reach back at you here, I'm definitely on Twitter, and I enjoy chatting with you all and catching up with all of you Stock Trekkies. All right, until next time, live long and prosper.